Hello everyone, this is Satish Kumar. I am here with another lesson for Indian economy. This is about planning in India. So we will here learn about the organizations that is involved in planning, and we will also learn about the evolution of planning. Okay. So background, see, as we learnt in the previous lesson, Soviet Union was the first country which first explored and adapted national level planning. Okay, and this idea of planning as an instrument for economic progress, no, and the success that Soviet Union achieved, no, was actually fascinated by all the countries which wanted to develop their economies. So between 1930s to 1950s, in that period, no, all the countries which were part of the colonial administration, the imperialist administration, no, all those countries which are trying to come out of which were seeking independence, no, they were all attracted towards this Soviet Union planning. In fact, naturally, because India is one of those countries, no, India was very much inclined towards the very interested towards the idea of planning for its development once it got its independence. So naturally, independent India, no, was destined to be a planned economy, okay, on the model of Soviet Union. Okay, and so somewhere around the 1930s, the planning idea of planning was entered into India, and the discussion was going for a quite some time. Okay, so we will see the evolution of planning. First, it was a person named Vishveshvaraya, a civil engineer, who gave the first blueprint of Indian planning in 1934 in his book The Planned Economy of India, in which he said that India after independence should plan for economic development, and he also emphasized the role of industry to be played for economic development. Okay, and he focused industrialization for India. He said that there should be a shift of labor from agriculture to industry. In fact, he emphasized heavy industries. Okay, in fact, he felt that only that will double the national income within a decade. That was the first idea given. Then the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry also at the same year gave the need for planning. Okay, recommended that that should be a need for planning once India got in fact, FICCI proposal was actually for British, but the British was not interested in planned instrument as a development. Okay, so only India after independence followed the planned model of development. Then the People's Plan, which was actually proposed by M.N. Roy in 1935, it was based on the ideologies of Marxist socialism. So it said that there should be people provided with basic necessities of life. Okay, and many economists have said that India's early planning period leaning towards socialism is based on this plan. Okay, then the Congress also set up the National Planning Committee in October 1938 with Nehru as chairman to work out a concrete program for development. And this working committee of National Planning Committee of Congress did a lot of work and produced a lot of reports and data related to it, and it created a huge volume of recommendations, and this has naturally created interest towards it. Okay, and it also emphasized the heavy industries. You could see that most of them are emphasizing industries for growth. Okay, but that is not true for all the case, but most. Okay. So then came the Bombay Plan. So it was prepared by a group of leading Indian capitalists who wrote a title called A Plan for Economic Development for India, and they said also that India should play a major role in planning for development, and it should be focused on heavy and large industries. Okay. Then came the Gandhian plan, which was actually formulated by a person called Sriman Narayan Agarwal, a Gandhian, and he is the one exception to this group. He laid more emphasis on agriculture. Okay, in fact, the Gandhian model of thinking is different from Nehruvian and other model of thinking, other all these people thinking. Okay, either Vishwesharya or Bombay Plan or Ficky proposal, all these people know they were focused on heavy industries. But Gandhi, his ideas are always based on rural ideology and small scale industries based on cottage industries and village level industries. In fact, he had such a kind of idea. So that is why this plan is called as Gandhian plan. So it laid more emphasis on agriculture. Even if the country should have an industries, no, these industries should be in the form of cottage and village level industries, okay, rather than heavy industrialization. Okay, that is this plan. Although this plan, if the initial time India went for this plan, no, it would have been better rather than India going for heavy industries, because India being a major labor intensive country, these could have provided employment for a long number of people, large number of people. So India would have eliminated poverty, but rather than India went for heavy industries. That is a different story. Okay, but this plan was given by Sriman Narayan Agarwal. Okay, then there was also the Sarvodaya plan given by Jayaprakash Narayanan. He also draw inspiration from Gandhian techniques of constructive works, and Gandhian's follower Acharya Vinobaba Bhave. So his plan is more like similar to Gandhian plan. Okay, so these are all the different plans that were discussed before India got independence. So naturally, there was one thing very clear, that the independent India is going to be planned economy. Only how the plan to be carried was the discussion went. Okay, so all the Indians were very clear that India, when it is getting independence, it is going to be a planned economy. So the emphasis should be whether they should focus on heavy industries and industrialization, or they should focus on agriculture and small scale industries. That was the discussion that went. Okay, so this is what the early period between 1930s to 1947, that period, the Indians were discussing. So naturally, India was destined for planned economy. Okay, so see, after India got independence, India set up a planning commission. Okay, in fact, the responsibility of planning for development was given to this planning commission, which was set up in 1950. Okay, and please note one point. At present, the planning commission was abolished by the present government and a new institution has been created. But since this planning commission was there for nearly 65 years, no, we need to know what are all the things it done, and we also need to know something about it. Okay, okay, so we don't need to know everything about planning commission like we studied earlier, because at present a new institution is replaced in the place of planning commission, but we need to know something about planning commission. Okay, so at the time of independence in 1950, the planning commission was created, and it was created by an executive resolution. So that because it is created by an executive resolution, no, it is not a constitutional body, it is not based on the any constitutional article, and it is not a statutory body. That is, it is not created by an act of parliament, it is created by the executive, the cabinet and the prime minister. Okay, so that is why it is called as a neither a constitutional nor a statutory body. It is not a constitutional body and it is not a statutory body. So it was set up on the recommendation of the advisory planning board, that is KG Nayagi, headed by KG Nayagi, which was constituted in 1946, who recommended that there should be a planning commission. Okay, and most of the members of this planning commission are from center, most of everyone. Okay, in fact, that is why we say that in India the planning in India was centralized for a long period of time, and only now in recent times that idea is, for the past 2 decades, that idea is slowly changing, that planning should be decentralized, and even now we could see a lot of planning is done at the top level, at the center level. Okay, so planning in India for the first 50 years was mostly centralized. Okay, one of the defects of Indian planning. Okay, we will see all those things, whether it is defect or advantage. Okay, so the members of the planning commission, prime minister is the chairman of planning commission, and there will also be a deputy chairman who will appointed by the central cabinet. Please note these kind of points because these are all very significant. UPSC could in the prelim point of view could ask questions like this. If they could put a deputy chairman is appointed by parliament, those kind of questions could be given. Okay, so you need to be very careful who appoints the deputy chairman. Okay, and the deputy chairman is appointed by the central cabinet, and he is a full-time functional head of the commission, and he will be responsible for the formulation and submission of the draft 5-year plan. Okay, and he gives to the central cabinet, and he is appointed for a fixed tenure, and he enjoys the rank of a cabinet minister, and he also participates in the meetings of cabinet. Okay, so these are all some of the thing about deputy chairman of the previous planning commission. And also the finance minister and planning minister will also be the ex officio, that is because they are part of finance minister and planning minister, they naturally become members of planning commission. Okay, apart from this, the commission also have 4 to 7 full-time expert members who enjoy the rank of minister of state. Okay, and the commission also have a member secretary who is a senior member of IAS. Please note, the planning commission does not have any state representation. The planning commission is entirely a central body, centrally constituted, centrally represented body. That is why the planning commission is said to be a top-down approach. That is, plans are made at the central level and it is given to the below the state level and the regional level. So everything is decided by the central. Please remember this point. And one of the reasons for setting up of Niti Aayog, the recent replacement for planning commission, is to avoid this centralization. But how far we have implementing and how far the states are given more power is yet to be seen. Okay, but the intention was to bring cooperative federalism. That is the aim of the new organ. Okay, we will see how the new organ was created and what is the new organ and what are all its function. Okay, so first the planning commission. See, although the states are not part of the planning commission, they are given some representation in the another body created known as National Development Council. Okay, so the National Development Council is another body which is part of the planning process. So the plans are formulated by the planning commission, but it is approved by the NDC, the National Development Council. Okay, the plans will be formulated by the planning commission, but it is approved by the National Development Council. Again, the National Development Council chairman is also the Prime Minister. Okay, so the National Development Council was set up in 1952. It has it was also created by an executive resolution, and it was created based on the recommendation of the first 5-year plan. Okay, so it is also neither a constitutional body nor a statutory body. It has its members as the Prime Minister of India, all union cabinet ministers after 1967, okay, and the chief ministers of all states, okay. So here the states have representation and the chief ministers administrators of all union territories, okay. So if there is a chief minister in a union territory, he will also be represented. If there is no chief minister, the administrators of the, that is the lieutenant governors, will be represented. Apart from this, the members of the planning commission will also be part of the National Developmental Council. Although the states are given representation in the National Developmental Council, they are only given representation here to secure the cooperation for the already prepared plan by the planning commission. So the one of the major criticism of the previous plans are the states have no say in what is decided by the planning commission. The plan when it is made, they are not there. They are only there when it is approved at the approval stage. So it is just a formality like that, okay. So although the states are part of the National Development Council, previously the thing is the states are not part of what you say the at the planning stage, okay. Sorry, I haven't moved the slide. So here is all the details about National Development Council. You could see all these things here, okay. Please see it. I forgot to change the slide, okay. I have given. So as I said earlier, no, the NDC was established with the purpose of securing cooperation of state and strengthen and mobilize the efforts and resources of the nation in support of the plan to promote a common economic policies in all vital spheres to ensure balance and rapid development of all parts of the country, okay. So the process of this planning will be like that. First, the planning commission prepares the draft 5-year plan and it is submitted to the union cabinet, and the union cabinet, after it is accepting the draft 5-year plan, it will send it to the NDC, and NDC will, after it is discussion with all the states and other compos, will approve it, and then it will go to the parliament, and when the parliament ratifies it, it becomes a plan, okay. That is how the planning process goes, okay. So NDC is said to be the highest body below parliament responsible for the policy matters, okay. So planning commission is not the highest body. Planning commission is only about making the plans, okay. So it is always said that the NDC is a advisory body, okay. In fact, it also advises the planning commission regarding anything, okay. And please also remember, the advice that is given by NDC to the planning commission is not binding on the planning commission. So the planning commission could not follow the advice, okay. So NDC was only an advisory body, and it makes recommendation to both the central and state government, and it should meet at least twice a year. And please remember, all these things that the NDC and planning commission know are all previously very important thing, but of late, because in 2015 the planning commission was 2014 the planning commission was abolished, and in 2015 a new body was created, no. Hence in 2015 planning commission was abolished and a new body called Niti Aayog was created. Now both the planning commission and National Developmental Council are not as important as earlier, but still we need to know, because it was part of Indian planning for nearly 65 years, okay. So don't think that since it has already abolished, don't need to learn anything about it. Please remember those points, okay. Now we will see the new body that is created for planning, and in August 30 it was created in January 1, 2015, the Niti Aayog. The Niti means National Institution for Transforming India, and it was established as a successor to the Planning Commission, okay. Again, the Niti Aayog was also created by an executive resolution, hence it is also neither the constitutional body nor a statutory body. So please remember, all the three bodies, Planning Commission, NDC and Niti Aayog, all three are neither constitutional nor are statutory. Okay. So, the Niti Aayog is considered as the official policy think tank for the government. Okay, it will be the official policy think tank for the government, and its aims and objective is to promote involvement and participation in the economic policy making process by the state governments. So, please remember, in the Planning Commission there was not any involvement and participation in the policy making stage by the state governments. The state governments comes only after the policy and policy making is made. But here by Niti Aayog, what is done is the states are involved. So hence it is called bottom up approach. So before the policy is prepared, states governments are discussed. So the state governments views are taken into account. That is why it is called bottom up approach. But previously the Planning Commission decides the plan and it is imposed or given to the states. Okay. So that is the difference between the previous setup and the present setup. So by doing this, the Niti Aayog tries to achieve an objective, that is to bring cooperative federalism and to improve the center state relationship. Okay. So that there will be a cooperation between the center and state. For a long time, center and states have issues over plenty of policy decisions. Okay. That will be avoided by this Niti Aayog. So now we will see the composition of Niti Aayog. So the Niti Aayog has again this also has Prime Minister as the chairman. Apart from this, there is a governing council, and this governing council considers chief ministers of all states and union territories. Okay. And also the lieutenant governors of union territories. Okay. Chief ministers of all states, and if there is any chief minister in any union territory, in India case both Pondicherry and Delhi have chief ministers. So they will be here, and the legislature, the lieutenant governors of the remaining union territories, all will be part of governing council. So here it is said that the states are represented in the making of plan. Okay. The chairperson for this governing council is Prime Minister. Okay. Apart from this, a regional council will be also constituted, but this will not be a permanent body, it will be a temporary body, it will be created for a specific period, and it will be addressing specific issues and situations, contingencies that will involve a few states or a few regions. If there is any issue involved in a few states or a few regions, there will be a regional council in which those states will be part of it, and those states chief ministers and lieutenant governors of union territories will be part of it. Okay. So it is convened by the Prime Minister, and it will comprise the chief ministers of that particular states and particular union territories for which the regional council was created. Okay. This will be chaired by the chairperson of the Niti Aayog. Please remember, the regional councils will be chaired by the chairperson of Niti Aayog chairman. Okay. Or its nominee. Okay. So who is the chairperson of Niti Aayog? Prime Minister. So naturally he will. In case if Prime Minister decides, he would appoint a nominee. Okay. So someone on his place will chair the regional council. So these three are the major bodies, but there is also the full-time organizational framework for the Niti Aayog, which will include a vice chairperson. Since the Prime Minister is not the person who is going to be since he has to do multiple works, no, he won't be always there. So there will be a vice chairperson who will be appointed by the Prime Minister. Please remember this point. Here it is appointed by the Prime Minister. Okay. And he will hold the rank of a cabinet minister. And there will also be full-time members who will be holding the rank of ministers of state. Then there will also be part-time members for this organization, and they will come from leading universities, maximum 2 part-time members, and they will be coming from leading universities and research organization who have expert in certain matters. Okay, and these part-time members will be on rotational basis. Okay, and there will also be 4 Union Council of Ministers ex officio members who will be nominated by the Prime Ministers. So, 4 Union Council of Ministers will be nominated by the Prime Ministers, who will also be part of this Niti Aayog. Then there is the Chief Executive Officer. Again, he is appointed by the Prime Minister for a fixed tenure, and he is in the rank of Secretary to the Government of India. So, there will also be a secretariat for the Niti Aayog. So, now we will see the difference between Niti Aayog and Planning Commission. So, here you could see this. So, Niti Aayog is just an advisory body, it is a think tank. Also the Planning Commission was also set up as an advisory body, but it acted as an extra constitutional body and it took a lot of function. So, it acted like a constitutional body. Okay. But that is not the case with Niti Aayog. And the Niti Aayog, it draws membership from a wider expertise. So, this was not there previously in the Planning Commission, it had only limited expertise. So, for Niti Aayog there will be people coming from outer area to specialized experts. Okay. Then there is also this cooperative federalism, which is the aim of Niti Aayog, that is bringing the states to the table of planning, the policy making. So, states are treated as equal partners in the plan making process, but the state had no role or very minimal role in the Planning Commission in the planning process. In fact, states attend yearly meetings of Planning Commission. Okay, and also they have no role in the making of plan. Then the secretaries that are appointed in the Niti Aayog, they are known as Chief Executive Officers, and they are appointed by the Prime Ministers. And in the Planning Commission, no such thing was there. Okay, and the Niti Aayog follows the bottom up approach, that is the states are involved in the early stage, but the Planning Commission follow the top down approach, that is the plan are made at the central level and it is imposed on the state level. Okay, so that is a major difference. Then the Niti Aayog does not possess any mandate to impose policies on state. Okay, but Planning Commission had the capacity to impose policies on state and allocation of funds. Okay, so here it is not possible to impose policies on state in the Niti Aayog. So, also the Niti Aayog does not have powers to allocate funds to the states or anybody. Okay, and this is vested only in the Finance Minister. But previously, when the Planning Commission was there, Planning Commission had the powers to allocate funds to ministries and state governments. That is why they always said that Planning Commission has overtaken the function. Planning Commission, being a extra constitutional body, has overtaken the constitutional body like Finance Commission functions. In fact, there was that criticism for a long period that the Planning Commission has taken the functions of Finance Commission. Okay, but that has avoided in the Niti Aayog. Okay. So, with this we have seen all the important thing related to the planning in India, what are all the bodies and how planning was evolved. Sorry. In the next lesson, we will learn about the different plans that are made by the Planning Commission since 1950s. There are 12 plans, 12 5-year plans were made, and apart from this there are some small plans. We will see all those detail in the next lesson. Okay, and you will also see the recent Niti Aayog function, that is later. Okay, we will see that in the next lesson. Bye.